So how did you get in comics?
How did I get in comics? Well, for me, I think it's a little bit different because, um, I think as a kid, I was like reading like Simpsons comics or something like that,
Oh,
but I
cool.
didn't even picture them being comic books. And then one day I was at a Barnes and Noble, and they had like a spinner rack there, and so I picked up an issue and I just begged my mom to get it for me, and she told me that she was like, "No, Omar, go like put this back." And then the store clerk is like, "Oh, come on, you got to get it for him. The kid wants to read. Let him read." And she's like, "All right, fine." And so I read it, and I got home that night and I read it like cover to cover, and then like I read it again, and then like I was like, "Oh, I have to go back." And the next issue comes out like a month later.
Right.
So I was like, as a kid, like whenever you're like 8 years old, a month isn't the same as like a month to
Oh
us now.
no,
Like
it's
a
an
month,
eternity.
exactly. It's like a whole like month. Like it's like 1/8 of your life at that point. And so
Yeah.
it was such a long time. And so I was like, okay, well, I want to get back into this. So I found out there were whole comic book stores, and like my mind was blown because I was like waiting a month at a time, and then all of a sudden I found the stores, and I was just like, okay, now I can go dive deep and start picking up
Right.
full stories, and I just kind of ran with it.
That's great. Yeah, I used to go to a local that it was also across the street from the newspaper, the daily paper in Tucson. I used to go to a Circle K every day because my dad was an alcoholic and he would get beer every single day, and I would go with him just so I can
Get
just
comics.
rifle through the comics area. And I remember being heartbroken that like when they stopped selling them.
I know.
You know, it was just one of those. And then I eventually found comic book stores, and if it weren't for like stores like Fantasy Comics and
Yeah.
Heroes and Villains and Our Galaxy and Charlie's Comics, I wouldn't be here. But,
Yep.
Charlie Harris, who owns Charlie's Comics, he's the one that gave me my first San Diego Comic-Con badge.
Oh, that's so cool.
And he gave me my first Phoenix Comic-Con badge. And if it weren't for him, 10 years ago giving me these passes, I would probably
Never
wouldn't
know
be
about it,
here,
yeah.
or it would have taken a little longer.
Yeah, but that's how it works. It's so interesting because that's someone has to kind of be like, actually, this is your thing now. And you're like, oh, this is my thing. I didn't realize that it was my thing.
Right.